you just had a huge journey that I'm so grateful that you're willing to share with the world. You've come such a long way, and I remember hearing where you were when we first started, what your goals were, and you had a tenacity in your voice that you really wanted to do this and that you believed you could do it, and that faith turned into belief and really helped you have some amazing results. So, first off, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, Dane. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything you've done for me in the last 8-9 months.
Hell yes, we've done well. So everyone out there, I just want to talk a little bit about where Alex was and what makes his experience unique. First off, Alex, you're a father of 2. How old are your kids?
I am. I have 2 little girls. They're 2 months, a little over 2 months, and one's 2 years, I'm sorry, and one's 7 months old. So 2 under 3 years old. Yeah.
So when you started this regimen, your wife was pregnant.
She was basically, she was 8 months pregnant. We had, a little one running around, not quite 2 years old yet. And I needed something to change for me, because I wasn't the dad, or couldn't be the dad I wanted to be.
But you had 2 kids, a wife, and a full-time job while you had extreme symptoms of flares. So your plate was full, so to speak. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
It was exhausting. It was full, and I was on any type of medication that would basically get me through to the next day. I was trying to figure out how to not use the restroom as much. Even before we met, I already was playing around with some diets, trying to figure out what was hurting, what was not hurting. Mm-hmm. But just the stress and the anxiety of being on medication for, at the time, 6 or 7 years, all the way from pretty, mild stuff to heavy, prednisone at the end, that wasn't even working anymore, was extremely frustrating. Just not seeing a light at the end of the tunnel when I could step back for a second, step back away from everything that was happening during the day, from work to life to everything, step away and really not see a light at the end of the tunnel, and kind of getting scared of where was I going in life, where would this end? And ultimately what I've known is it would end in pretty bad circumstances. Mm-hmm. Taking out some of my body, taking out some of my gut, so to say, and all these options that really in my mind were not an option. They were just, I was going to do anything to not have to go there. But yeah, just to not have that light at the end of the tunnel, and knowing that I have 2, or at the time 1, I have almost 2 little young kids. I want to be the dad that I want to be for them, just have the energy, play with them. And I didn't even have that just with 1 kid. And then knowing I was going to have 2 and maybe potentially more in the future, it's just pretty scary.
Can you talk about what that journey was and how it was to get some of those symptom reliefs, and kind of touch base on some of those symptom reliefs out of your own words?
Yeah, definitely at the beginning, super frustrating. Always having to second guess where I could go, if there were restrooms around. Really always having that cloud hang over your head, basically just that anxiety. Because there were definitely times when I had accidents in public, and it was every time I remember talking to my wife, it eats a chunk out of your mental liveliness every time. It just hurts so bad, because you're this obviously isn't normal, and it just hurts. So just getting away from that anxiety, or most of that anxiety was huge. Being able to just leave my house in my car and go somewhere, and knowing that as long as there's a restroom within 30 minutes, I'm gonna be fine. You know, where if it was 30 seconds before, I was freaking out. You know, so just that mental cloud kind of lifting up, not hanging over me the whole time is to me one of the most important things I got out of this whole thing. Just more freedom. And the last, I actually went cold turkey, basically off medicine. Sometimes it's recommended, sometimes it's not. I just knew my personality that if I hold on to something a little bit, I'm gonna have a much harder time giving it up than if I just stop at cold turkey. So my body definitely reacted upon the cold turkey stop from medicine, kind of definitely what I know now is called herxing. So it definitely reacted in a way where I was almost getting worse. I didn't know what that meant before, but it was getting worse before it got better.
I'd say the last thing is there if one piece of advice you could give to other people out there who are young parents or are having these symptoms where they're underweight and they're just really in that bad pickle, what would you say to them, being on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, I would honestly say, or at least for me, and hopefully this resonates with some people, because trying to take one step back and think about long term, like where you really want to be health wise, because you can get so caught up in the day-to-day grind of work, like and I can say it out of experience right now, is there are days and weeks where I don't even think 2 weeks in advance. I mean, I don't even think forward. It's just getting it, like trying to figure out the girls who's watching them work. My wife works too, so trying to balance schedules, trying to figure. You don't even think long term, where it's so easy to get into a day-to-day bad habit again of stuff you're not really supposed to eat, stuff like that. Just taking a step back, maybe in the mornings, just thinking about long term, like where do you want to be, and that'll create excitement to want to do the steps during the day of the certain foods you need to eat to get better, whatever supplements you need to take to get better and stuff like that, to not get caught up, because that's the most important thing for me at the moment, is to look at the bigger picture and long term, and that helps me stay in my rhythm with food, with working out, meditation, all that stuff, because you don't see drastic changes in results day to day. You don't really. It's more of you reflect like week to week or even month to month. So you and I, Dane, right? We talked, every 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, depending on our schedules, and that's when we would really reflect on how far I've come. But you don't notice that day to day. You just notice it really when you look back and say, "Dang, like last month I had this. Now I don't have that," or something like that. So just try to keep the mindset long term. Take a step back from your day to day life. Meditate on where you want to be, journal it, draw, write it, make a dream board, do whatever it takes to kind of take it out of your head and onto something that you can visual see, and that becomes a focus and your guide, your path, I guess, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Alex.
You can take something that's really hard and can be the worst thing that ever happened to you, and that worst thing can grow and flourish into the best thing that ever happened to you. Today, I help people reverse their symptoms from Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis.